I'm Collins Rex. I'm a festival co-director, and we really are excited about the film festival program for 2025 because this year is a bumper year for us. It's our biggest ever collection of films. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Derrich Gardner, who is a radio announcer, television host, and so much more in South Africa. And in a moment, I'm going to chat to Derrich about one of the films that we have in the festival this year. And that film is a film called Diary of an Elephant Orphan. Derrich, welcome, and thanks very much for joining us.
Hello, Collins. Nice to be with you.
Good to have you with us. Now, Diary of an Elephant Orphan is a delightful documentary which will have you crying and laughing and everything else that you can possibly imagine emotionally, because it really is a beautifully filmed documentary. And it's a documentary which is essentially the story of a young elephant orphan that has been rescued. The elephant in question is a little albino elephant, Khanyisa. Khanyisa was found by the team that rescued her when she was just a couple of months old. She'd been caught in a snare and she had a really bad wound that effectively tore her mouth in such a way that she was unable to suckle. Now, the film tells the story of Khanyisa, of her rescue and of her rehabilitation, but of her eventual reintroduction into a wild herd. And that wild herd in itself has a very interesting story. Because the rescue group that helps Khanyisa has helped many, many orphan elephants over the years. In fact, they've been around since 1997. The organisation is one called HERD. It's the Hoedspruit Elephant Rehabilitation and Development Centre. And over the years, many elephants have made their way there, but it all starts with one particular elephant. And that elephant was named Jabulani. And that's where you come in, Derrich, because you've had a very special relationship with not just Herd, but with Jabulani over the years. Tell us a little bit about that.
I've seen Jabulani grow up. I was involved in a TV program, and what was it, 25 years ago, we were invited to do a story about this little elephant that was found in the mud, stuck. His herd thought he was dead, and they left, and he was rescued. And at the time, they didn't have a family for him. No one knew how to feed a baby elephant, and it turned out to be quite a process. And then there was the big upheaval in Zimbabwe, where some of the farms were confiscated, but also many of those farmers had elephants, baby elephants, little orphans. And the Hoedspruit Center decided Jabulani needs a family. So they send their trucks to go and rescue these elephants on all these different farms across Zimbabwe. And they brought them back to Hoedspruit. So Jabulani all of a sudden had a family. But it was not an easy process. Initially, Jabulani didn't know how to eat. He didn't know how to walk in the bush. So they got him a sheep, skaap. In Afrikaans, that's the word for a sheep. And she was his mother. She would sleep with him. She would take him into the veld, into the bush to eat. And it was really his mother. That's all he knew. He also had a personal assistant, as in a human, who looked after his every need. But he was so sensitive when the poor lady, when she went into the menstrual cycle, Jabulani would also get sick. That's how sensitive they are. And then with Skaap, his mother, he one night played with her and accidentally rolled over her. And that was her end.
Oh, my goodness.
Bless her.
Oh,
Little
my
sheep
word.
But that's what happened. So we did a TV story about this cute little elephant. And I must say, when you played with him, he was an elephant, but he didn't know it. He thought he was just a little boy. And then a few years after that, I met him again. We invited, they opened a new hotel, and we had to go and test the luxury facilities. So we
Oh,
had to
such a
see
hardship.
I tell you, and this was like a 7-star venue. And we again had a chance to meet Jabulani and to walk with him. And it was really amazing because by now it was 10 years later, he was a big boy, and he remembered me. You know, he they say elephants have a memory that's extensive, and I can vouch for that absolutely. And then we also had the chance of walking with the elephants in the middle of the night, full moon. And it was just the most incredible thing because they are soundless. You do not hear a sound. When they take a branch from a tree, you'll hear the sound. But when they walk, those cushions in their feet, it is just incredible. And then after that, another 10 years, we did a recap of my first story with the TV program. And I went back. By now, they've tried to keep humans away from the elephant herd. And they were too used to people. So they started separating them. So only the keepers and the workers were allowed close to the elephants. But when we arrived, the elephants were in this huge dam. And one of them broke away because he heard my voice and came over. And they asked me, so do you know which one is Jabulani? And I said, yeah, it's him standing here right next to us. And that's how sensitive they are. After another 10 years, Jabulani heard my voice and he came over. And then afterwards, I was allowed to sort of meet up with him again and give him some snacks and some bribes. But let me tell you, Jabulani is now not a small boy. He's a big boy. And if you had to climb on top of him, which is not allowed anymore, then you must probably need stairs similar to going up into a Boeing. That's how tall these elephants are. They're huge. They're really big. And he's still growing, and he's got his family. So Jabulani is a big boy. Yeah, Collins, amazing work they've done.
Yeah.
And I must also tell you with the little orphans, people don't know the formula they use to feed them. You can't just give them anything. It costs about 6,000 Rand a time to get the mixture right, just for one little orphan elephant to get food in its stomach.
That's amazing. And it is really quite incredible. And viewers who watch this film will get to meet from a distance Jabulani, and also the matriarch of the group, the original herd who came from Zimbabwe all those years ago in 2002. And it's the matriarch Tokwe, who obviously was instrumental initially in accepting Jabulani into the herd, but is also in the film, as people will see, instrumental in allowing young Kanyisa into the herd. But in the film, it's quite clear that Jabulani is very attuned to this baby. He regularly comes to the fence and he wants to get close to this little orphan elephant. And it's a truly remarkable story. And I certainly urge as many of our viewers as possible to watch it, because not only is it the battle to save the life of this little baby, one also gets a really good sense of how things operate at herd, and the keepers who are all so incredibly dedicated to their elephants. And the keepers of that original Zimbabwean herd actually moved with them to Hoedspruit in South Africa, and they're all still there and involved in the organization. But Derrich, you mentioned the fact that there is the 5-star or the 7-star resort, and that as well makes herd a little bit different from some of the other rehabilitation centers, because many of the others operate in secret locations where they don't actually want anyone to know where they are, because that keeps the poachers away. But herd runs alongside Jabulani, the resort. So it's actually not a hidden one. It's just, and maybe that in itself is protection for the herd, the fact that you've got people coming and going and it's got an international focus. But it is quite special and it is quite remarkable. So when are you going to visit Jabulani again, Derrich?
Well, I hope to maybe later this year to pop in and see Jabulani. Can you say I've also met? Um, I must also tell you with the elephants, they sleep in an enclosed area at night, all of them, the whole herd. There are also wild animals. There are wild lions. I mean, this isn't a game park. But the elephants, when they sleep, you cannot go close to them. It is extremely dangerous. That is their holy territory. And what they also do is when there's a foreign elephant outside that they don't want close to their herd, you know that those poles for the fencing, they rip them out to go and chase away the elephants. And they'll come back at night, sleep again, just to be safe. That's how intelligent these elephants are. And something that people also don't know, and I can't tell you the location where it's done. There's a huge problem with poaching in South Africa. They're using elephants to track the poachers. That makes them so valuable. They can smell better than any dog, and they can also pick up the smell in water. So with the elephants, they then catch the poachers, which is quite amazing. People don't know about that. They can't document it because it's too sensitive. And once the poachers, if they get to know which elephants they are, then it's dangerous. I've also seen the elephants with everyone in the group. Your little cap to keep the sun out, you put them all on a heap, and then they tell one of the elephants to go and give everyone's hat or cap back to the owner. And they do it. If you're 20 people, by smell, they will bring your own cap to you. And it's just incredible. Here's this huge African elephant, and they are enormous, bringing your cap to you. And sometimes they're also quite curious. They smell you up and down, read you like a book.
It is remarkable, and I think we actually know so little about elephants. We have a sense of them being social creatures. We know they're very intelligent, but recently I actually read an article that elephants have unique names for each other, and they actually use those names. The mind boggles. And of course, you mentioned the fact that African elephants are really large. Now, in Australia, we're used to the Asian elephants, and Asian elephants obviously are large animals, but they are nowhere near the size of the African elephant. So if you've not been on a safari and you've not seen an elephant up close, or you've seen an African elephant in a zoo, you have no concept of just how enormous these animals are, and yet how very gentle they can be. And you do see that gentleness come to the fore in the film as well, as these
Colin?
massive animals take this little baby under their proverbial wing.
Just a note on the facilities where people can stay. They are luxury facilities, but it is used as a money spinner to support the elephants. So it's not a thing where they run this exclusive luxury lodge setup just to make money. It's not a financial gain. All the money goes back into the elephants, and there's also a cheetah breeding facility that also, I'm sure, gets some of the funding. So when you go and stay there, it is exclusive, but your money is spent where it's needed.
And that's even better to know. Well, Derrich, thank you so much for joining us at the South African Film Festival and sharing your insights that have been really fascinating, and your relationship with Jabulani. And we'll make sure that some of the photographs that you've given to us are included in today's session, so that people can see Jabulani and they can get a sense of just how large that elephant is. And of course, watch the film Diary of an Elephant Orphan. You can watch it online. The South African Film Festival runs from the 4th of May to the 31st, and online from the 11th of May. So you've got lots of opportunity to actually get your pass, get your individual ticket if you want, closer to the time, and watch Diary of an Elephant Orphan along with the 33, I think, other films that we have as part of the festival this year. Derrich, Gardner, thank you for joining us, and we hope you're going to have a great day, and we look forward to hearing your further adventures with Jabulani as time goes by, and we'll keep everybody posted.
Collins, if you blow me a kiss, I will pass it on to Jabulani when I see him again.
Thank you, Derrich. And of course, for all the information about the South African Film Festival, go to saff.org.au. saff.org.au. Thanks, everyone, and goodbye.